Hello, everyone. It's about 2 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Mountain Time, and this is Patrick Brocia. We'll be starting the session in just a few minutes. Christian, what do you think? Is it time to get going?
Yes, it is.
right.
Are you able to see my screen?
I can see your screen. You just advance to the next slide. Yes.
Excellent.
All right, very good. Let's get started here. And if there's anyone in the audience just to double check on the audience can see the screen, if somebody wants to just send a chat comment through, we do have everything muted, but we're assuming that we're good to go. Yes, thank you very much out there. Looks like we're ready to go. So today's session is being recorded, just so that everyone is aware of that. It is being recorded. So if there's a colleague or someone that cannot attend and they want to listen to this session, we'll be able to make that recording available to you. So today's session is titled Work from Home, okay, and remotely, as well as a little bit of data management spun into the presentation. And you see the slide on the screen here, and possibly we've all experienced or are experiencing a situation where we're working remotely, working from home, especially more so, in light of the current situation around the world. It could be anything from the top left down to the bottom right. I know that in my personal situation, I'm kind of like in the middle. I've got a couple of dogs at my feet that any minute could go ballistic if a delivery truck shows up. So, and that's the truth, by the way. So we'll get started. But another thing that I also wanted to share and talk about is the couple stories here, from not just from a work from home or work remotely type of perspective, but also the importance of having proper data management and how that can play a significant role, even before the current world situation, and especially now as we start to look at some of these technologies. Working with a company in upstate New York, a manufacturing company, SOLIDWORKS user, not using any data management whatsoever. Engineering project managers are working, and then they just, there's a decision made that a design needs to be changed on a SOLIDWORKS design. They call up the necessary models, make the changes, and then file them back away into their trusty folders. And they, assumes all is good. Second shift operators come in for the machinist, and they go to their trusty locations where they, pick up what they believe to be the latest and most current job to run, and proceed to run a lot of 25 components, punch out, go home. Well, you can guess what's probably happened here is that the next morning, managers come in, engineers come in, they take a look at the job that was run overnight, and it does not match the last changes they made, the day before. And obviously, for obvious reasons, that the design change was never communicated, and essentially they produced a lot of boat anchors. And boat anchors is not their business, but can that work that was basically scrapped, can it be reworked and brought back into production, be of value going forward? Yeah, to be determined. But the overall message is here that could a data management system with proper notifications, proper workflows, and also controlling data access if something's in a change state or not, could that have applied here to help avoid this potential scrap work condition? Odds are yes. And the saga to the story is that this customer is now using one of our data management solutions with their SOLIDWORKS application. Another story is a company very similar to the other one, operating with SOLIDWORKS on an open network, as you see there, and going about their design work. This happens to be a defense contractor. So they're building components and parts and doing work for one of the defense parties, I think the Army. And it's end of the day on Friday, getting ready to file all their stuff away, and this pops up on the user screens. They've been hijacked, and their data is now being held for ransom. True story. The customer, obviously concerned, And, let's say, well, we got backups. We don't have to pay this ransom, et cetera. We can just, but the backups had not been happening as they thought. So they were about 6 to 7 days behind on this. So basically, how to reestablish their environment, get back online, get working. Well, fortunately, they're working with a very good VAR who was able to help them get their business back online. And actually, they decided to deploy their SolidWorks and also pick up, again, one of our data management solutions on a hosted environment. So the backups were being handled properly by the hosting partner, and they're paying for that extra service, et cetera, just to keep their business going. So these are two true stories that I just wanted to share, from a data management perspective about the importance of properly backing up your data, the security, especially as we're starting to work more and more from home in remote locations. Having access to the data is one thing. Taking care of the data is another thing, and that's one of the messages we really wanted to impress as we go through today's session. Christian?
Thank you so much, Patrick. And before we go with the presentation, I would like to do a quick poll on the audience and see where do you currently attending this webinar from? Is it from your company office, or is it remote working from home? And it looks like the results are coming in really fast. And just a few more seconds for users to participate.
Okay.
And looks like there are about 60% of the audience. Let's share the result. 60% of the audience, they are working from home. So at the end of this webinar, you're going to get some nice features and some considerations that you can take a look at when you do work from home.
That's awesome. That's it's basically 50-50. I'm glad to see people are back in the office, but we still have that remote challenge.
Excellent. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce Patrick Brochu. He's a data management sales specialist with over 21 years of data management experience and over 30 years of industry experience. It's a pleasure to have you here, Patrick.
Yeah, thank you very much, Christian. And likewise, my colleague, Christian Fustos, is coming to us from just outside the Philadelphia area. He's got a tremendous amount of real-world industry experience using the very solutions that we're going to be talking about today, SolidWorks and also the data management solutions. So in industry, plus he spent several years at a SolidWorks reseller, supporting and implementing these type of solutions, and just recently joined SolidWorks a few years ago. Just leveraging that expertise and that knowledge for our customers in North America. So as you can see, both Christian and I are coming to you from remote locations. What's interesting is also we are, we don't have much of a choice on the networks that we use because we only have one internet provider for our specific locations, and that may or may not be the case with you folks as well. But anyway, let's continue.
Okay, so we're going to start the webinar, and for the purpose of bandwidth, because my internet connection, I'm going to stop my video.
And the same here. All right, very good. So if we take a look at the agenda, work from home is the theme here, and we'll be covering the challenges, what we're seeing, and also considerations as we start talking about some of the technologies and solutions for work from home. Also, at the end of this, we'll do a little bit of discussion on the concept of non-value added, or NVA, work that happens to take place in either engineering or other places in the company. And we'll cover that as well. So from these challenges, I'll let
Patrick.
Christian talk here for a second on what he's seeing as some of the key points.
So some of the key points regarding challenges is, and I believe one of the top key points, it should be security and backup. It is extremely important to understand that not only that your backup is in place, but also making sure that those backups are validated, making sure that they actually work. The last thing that you want is you need a backup to be restored, and you discover that either it's not working or it is corrupt. And while we're working from home, as you, Patrick, outlined in one of the first slides, is the user experience. Because we are in separate environments, everybody has their own strategies put in place. But when working from home, it's also important to understand how we do collaborate with the other team members. Are we sending emails? Are we giving them a call, or are we using some type of chat options? And not everyone has the option to purchase a high powerful machine to run all the CAD softwares that the company has. So in that case, hardware limitation comes into place as well. And as you mentioned, location is important. Since we are in location that the internet provider has monopoly, we don't have the leverage to select different ranges or different internet options. And also, while we're working from home, how do we ensure that everybody is working on the correct revision? How do we make sure that the users are not creating those boat anchors that you, Patrick, mentioned?
Very good, Christian. Thank you. So some of the things that we are seeing, and and some of this is technology that's been in play for quite some time, but obviously it's come to light more and more as addressing this work from home challenge, is obviously FTP and email attachments. Been around for a long time, so we're just going to touch on those a bit. Cloud storage is obviously where to put the data. That's becoming more and more readily available. We'll talk about that. Virtual private network, VPNs. Been around for a long time, but again, it's a technology that's providing us with some security in our challenges of work from home, and also plays in very well with the data management side of things as too. The VDI, or the virtual desktop infrastructure topic, is one that we're going to touch on and provide some insight. And then at the end, and also through this whole conversation, is how data management plays a very key role in this ability to work securely and safely in these remote locations, or even in the office. Okay, it's not just a remote location topic. And the two major data management solutions of SolidWorks PDM, and also the 3D Experience platform featuring the InnovioWorks role. So these are two things. I mean, we're going to do a deeper dive into the data management stuff in session number 2 of this 2-part webinar series, but we'll touch upon each of these a little bit today as well. Okay. So looking at FTP and email attachment, FTP, file transfer protocol, as well as email attachment, has been around for a long time, is very readily available to many people. It's very familiar, it's very comfortable, it's very straightforward and easy to use. However, being a data management person, when I hear customers or people talking about using FTP and email to share data, the hair in the back of my neck rises, and it's just like, oh my goodness. And Christian, you can tell us why?
Absolutely, Patrick. So yes, they're readily available. However, these two particular tools are disconnected. They're disconnected because it's really hard to start notifying people. And as far as like the email attachments, typically you're restricted about 25 megs for an attachment, and most of our SolidWorks assemblies, or most of the company's assemblies, are much larger than that. And how do we make sure that the data stays intact and the data is not exposed to outside? How do we make sure that the security is in place with these two particular tools?
Okay, thank you very much, Christian. Cloud storage is something that has been surging as far as popularity, more and more. You see some icons here of popular cloud storage providers. Very quick, able to get going, able to use. And just a second, I told you that the dogs would want to go out before they go ballistic. I apologize, but anybody can be quickly up and using one of these type of cloud services in a matter of minutes. Some of them are free, almost free, but it's very intuitive. However, as great as they are and easy as they are to use and put data in, there's some extreme considerations out there, Christian.
Absolutely, Patrick. So the first one will be version or revision control. How do we make sure that we are keeping track, and especially if you have an audit, if you're a regulatory compliance company that you have to abide by ISO or other regulatories, how do you provide that proof? And when you start sharing these files with manufacturing, for example, are they able to preview those files without necessarily consuming a SOLIDWORKS license? And how do we notify them? How do we notify them when there is a change? How do we notify them when there is a part that gets superseded or obsoleted into the system? And these tools are great, however, it does allow the potential of duplicating the files. And of course, security. Is the data secure? Can we restore in case something goes wrong?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, you know, especially on that is the data security, and now we bring up the interesting topic of VPN, virtual private network. This starts to address the security challenges. Okay, basically, we're not operating over the open networks. We're operating on a private tunnel, basically, connected from your remote locations or other locations to your local office. So it does provide sort of an in-office experience for you. The security is much stronger, and the combination of working with a VPN and with a proper data management system, doing those backups and keeping the version and revision control understood is a very good possibility. But just using VPN, um, uh, it does increase your level of security. And there's also other considerations to take into account, Christian.
Yes, and I wonder how many of today's audience are actually using VPN. And if they are using VPN, they can relate that it can be a nuisance. And if the connection is not reliable, then you start losing connection, and it can have some performance impact. And yes, you get access to your network drives, and maybe there are users out there that they took the machines, the desktops from their offices, and now they are sitting home, or they are using their own machine to actually remote into the office hardware. And when I was actually in production, I used this type of method, but again, it can be a nuisance. So another potential option that you have to your advantage is using VPN to get access to your files and do a pack and go. What this allows you to do, the pack and go, is you can do it directly from File Explorer. So you don't even have to open SolidWorks. You can just right-click on an assembly and package all those files with you. So it's relatively portable. So you can bring into your machines and start working with the files. However, there are some very huge considerations. You can use it with caution, because once you start modifying those files, how do you make sure that those changes are going to go back into the network? Not only that you're going to overwrite the existing files, but how do you make sure that only the files that you're modifying, they're actually getting transferred over? And depending on how your network infrastructure is set up, how many folders and how many network drives you have, using a pack and go approach can be time consuming to search for all these files.
Good stuff, Christian. Thank you. The last technology that we're going to talk about today is the VDI, or the Virtual Desktop Infrastructure. Now, you may or you may not have heard about this, or you may be using it. This is a technology and a way of working remotely that is becoming more and more popular. Yeah, it does have some very attractive qualities to it. Is that the data stays in one location, okay, and it allows the company to deploy very low cost devices to work on. So if your data center is, say, in Salt Lake City, where GoEngineer is headquartered, for example, I'll just use that city name. But the clients or the end users can very easily be using data with a very low cost solution. For companies to enable or disable contractors or vendors, they can be administered in and administered out very easily. Also, the upgrade possibility is just one instance. So there's another attractive quality about this. And the price performance of VDI is over the years has gone the right direction on both the price coming down, performance going up. So it's getting more and more attention, but there are some considerations that Christian is obviously going to tell us about right now.
Yes, Patrick, as you mentioned, the price has come down on this particular capability. However, I don't believe it's quite right there, because in some cases, some smaller companies, they will not be able to afford an infrastructure like this. And also it comes with some IT overhead. They will need to make sure that at least in the beginning, when they're setting the infrastructure up, they are allowing the SOLIDWORKS users to have more resources and than the regular users for their machines. And it will be like a network drive, correct? So again, it goes back to, is it backed up? Is it restored? Are the users allowed to move, rename, delete files in that particular environment? So it can be extremely challenging on that respect.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So we did talk about the various, how data management can play a role in working with these solutions, especially in the areas of, version revision control, also the areas of providing proper backups, notifications, etc. The data management solutions can absolutely bring a lot more peace into using these work from home solutions and or working in the office, okay, both. The two primary data management solutions from SolidWorks, SolidWorks PDM Professional, it's been around for quite some time and it works, extremely well within the SolidWorks environment, as well as 3D Experience platforms, NovioWorks role, which, over the last 5 years has been evolving, but this year it is really seen a surge in interest and use from our customer community because of the it being a SaaS offering, a software as a service, and the cloud offering. So it's there's a lot of benefits to that particular offering. So in our session 2, we're going to go into a little bit more detail on those two options and helping you decide on one versus the other. It's not really one against the other. It's which one best fits within your requirements. And then there's the topic of non-value added engineering time, NVA. Whether you're an engineer or just, or a person in the company, how much time are you spending doing non-value added work? Basically, work that is necessary, but maybe data management might have an impact there. This survey is from Tech Clarity, basically measured about 34% of a person's time is spent on non-value added work. Now, what does that look like? Well, here's the top 5 activities that Tech Clarity identified in this particular piece of research, with searching for information being 25% of the time out of that that total makeup. So and that's engineers or employees may say, well, I got to make sure I have the right file, I got to find the file, but how much time do you spend crawling through various data silos that you have in your company? I know even within SolidWorks we have many data silos, but that's it's becoming less and less. But still, it's time spent searching. What might the impact of a data management system be on that? Well, we have a process of basically quantifying that. And we quantify that, and we assign, identify maybe how many hours a week that may look like using the 34% number, assign a burden rate to that, and basically come up with a cost, for each week on how much time is spent on that, basically that non-value added time. In this particular case, you're looking at almost $700 a week times 47 work weeks, you get about $32,000 a year. And you just multiply that across a number of employees who are basically falling into those roles, and you can see some pretty alarming numbers. Now, this quantifying of non-value added engineering time or work time is very subjective. And, but when we start to sit down and talk with basically data authors or engineers or whatever, you think about how much time they're spending and, how much of an impact a proper data management system can have. So we're going to dive into this topic more also in session number 2 on how to quantify this and, see where the real impact of a proper data management system can be applied and the benefits it could mean to your company.
Excellent point, Patrick. And I wonder how many users in the audience actually knew that there are some quantifiable measures that we can take a look at. And with that, I would like to do another poll and ask the audience, in regards with the topics that we covered in today's webinar, what impacts you the most? Is it the time spent searching for the correct data? Is it the time spent correcting models that do not resolve their broken references? And we all know what happens with the files when they are moved or when they are renamed by the users. Or is it time spent making sure that you're working with the correct release? Time spent recreating lost file data? Or is it time spent manually producing and managing bill of material data? And looks like the results are coming in. Just a few more seconds for the audience to vote. And let's take a look at the results. So over 50% of the time, they are trying to resolve these references that they are broken. So Patrick, with a data management system in place, specifically like SOLIDWORKS PDM Professional, renaming or moving the files around has no impact on the references. So we can really save a lot of time for the users on that respect. What do you think?
I think that's a consistent type, in the 20 plus years I've been involved with data management, especially within the SOLIDWORKS environment, the SOLIDWORKS user community. Broken references, resolving that issue, handling that issue, and I talk to our technical teams, within the reseller community, et cetera. That seems to be the number one issue that they have to contend with is resolving broken references. And you're right, data management handles that with its eyes closed. So good feedback here. Thank you very much. So as we're moving on here, in summary, we've talked about a lot of technology today. Some of it you may have heard of, you may be using. A lot of it's readily available, and it's out there. A lot of it's easy to use. The costs are varying between, what we talked about with the VDIs versus some of the other technologies. I don't want to suggest that there's a silver bullet, okay, to the question or the topic of work from home and how to do it. We do really have to have a conversation to assess your situation, your requirements, where you're located, number of users, the roles of those users. Are they engineers? Are they non-engineers, et cetera? But this is something that can very easily be done with working with your reseller GoEngineer. But we wanted to make you aware of some of the technologies if you weren't already aware of them, and invite you to contact us. And again, remember, we do have the second webinar that we'll be posting with GoEngineer very soon. Okay. And Christian, one last time.
Yes, considerations. If you're taking something out from this webinar, please do this. Go back to your office, go back to your company, and ask them how secure is your data. Ask them if they do have backups in place, because again, you don't want to be in a reactive mode. You rather be in a proactive mode, making sure that those backups are valid, are not corrupted. And take a look to see how disconnected you are, or how good of a job you're doing, basically making sure that everybody is working into one collaborative environment. Everybody knows what the other members are doing, and you're not working into silos. So with that, again, if you have any questions, if you have any, if you would like to have any additional conversations after this, feel free to contact GoEngineer, and you have that contact information here.